Okay, so you watched the Mavericks' first preseason matchup with the OKC Thunder. All right, or maybe if you didn't get to watch it, then as Adam Silver says, the NBA is a highlights league. Okay, which by the way, I still hate that comment. Anyway, I'm your host, Ethan, the advisor Clayton, and this is the first recorded episode of Your Mavs podcast. Now, quick introduction. I said my name is Ethan, the advisor Clayton. Really, a simple reason for that is I was a financial advisor for 5 years. And I made a living telling people what to do with their money. Now, the hope is that I make a living telling people what to do with what they see on the TV or what the Mavericks are putting on the basketball court. But really, I'm a sicko. I've been a Dallas Mavericks fan since I was 5 years old. Saw Jason Kidd as a rookie playing at the Reunion Arena against Muggsy Bogues. It was wild. I fell in love with the Mavs immediately, and here I am today. I'm going to start talking about them basically every day of your freaking life. Let's do this. But in my first episode, what I want to do is talk about that first preseason matchup, right? The one that you've already heard everybody's takes on. But to be fair, you haven't heard the advisor talk about it just yet. So let's dive into it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break down what I consider to be the three biggest wins from our preseason matchup. Okay. And I'm going to start by talking about Cooper Flagg. Okay. Let's dive in. So first thing that is to be said about Cooper Flagg that everyone has said a million times is he is as advertised. Okay. He is worth the hype, both on offense and defense. Right? We weren't even 90 seconds into that game before he just delivered a soul-crushing block, which led to a fast break, which led to an 80 alley-oop, right? We were hype over that play. And I think it's a quick snapshot of the kind of brand we should get used to seeing on the court this year. Or at least that's what I'm telling myself right now. I'm overreacting just like everyone else. So what did we see from Cooper? We saw him being guarded by Kayson Wallace, which, hey, I'm not going to discredit Kayson. He is a top shelf NBA defender, right? And it didn't really seem to phase Cooper Flagg all that much, if we're being honest. He played the game at his pace. He didn't try to force the issue. He was a willing passer, and certainly he looked like he was in control out there. Right? Like wise beyond his years. He's 18. Let's not forget that. He won't even be 19 until nearly the new year. And he's out there dropping pull-up threes on your head. He's delivering soul-crushing blocks. He's sharing the rock. He's doing all the things that you would hope to see an NBA veteran do, right? An all-star veteran. I'm not saying he's like a lock for all-star team, by the way, as a rookie. Like that. I'm pretty high on Coop. I'm not stoned on Coop at the moment. But let me just say, he is as advertised. That is a huge win. Like I'm gonna just be honest with you. If you rewind to Summer League, there was that first game where people were like, oh no, are we worried about his shot? Because I think he was like 5 of 21 or something. Like, come on, he's 18. It was his first taste of any sort of NBA level competition. He was being full court pressed the entire game, which is really, really corny, by the way. But it happened. He got to the second game of Summer League, which was his last, and he looked like Cooper Flagg doing Cooper Flagg things. We were like, oh, he is who we thought he was, right? And now, several months later, we're like way less worried about his jump shot than we were then, okay? He, again, those pull-up threes, just he took them with such confidence and poise. And the only three-pointer that he missed in that game was just because somebody like presented him with live ammo as the shot clock was expiring. So I'm going to say that's a huge, huge win. Just overall, did not see anything I didn't like from Cooper Flagg. I have no further notes. Let's move on. The second big win, okay? I'm going to shout out D-Lo, our guy, D'Angelo Russell. He was signed over the summer, like mainly to be a stopgap point guard for Kyrie Irving until he recovers from his ACL tear. Okay. I saw enough on Monday night to think Well, why wouldn't they be a good fit together on the court when Kyrie returns? So, why do I think that? I'll break it down just really briefly here. In the 15 minutes that D'Angelo Russell was on the court, he had 5 assists. Okay. And I think, especially while Kyrie's out, D'Lo is going to be at least a 30-minute a night type of guy. If you extrapolate that 5 assist showing, right, maybe he's averaging a double. Okay, I'm not going to say that. He's not going to average a double-double. I don't expect that from him. I don't expect him to lead the NBA in assists, okay? But look, that was an impressive display of being I don't even want to say floor general, because different people were taking the ball down the court at different times. People were initiating actions at different times. But D'Lo was kind of like primary quarterback, QB1, if you will. And I think he played the role incredibly well. He wasn't putting the ball where people were. He was putting it where they were going. And he only knew where they were going because he just has that sixth sense. I didn't know that about his game. He was able to read when players were cutting, where they were cutting, and led with a touch pass or some sort of, I don't know. He had flair to his game. I knew he was good. I wasn't prepared for the flair. And he showed that on full display. Not only do I think he's going to be a wonderful stopgap point guard and ultimately a good shooter for this team, a roster that's really lacking that skill set. I think he's going to fill that role just fine. And whenever Kyrie's back, look, Kyrie doesn't maybe have to have the high usage he has had in the past. Like, share that load, have a two-headed monster in the backcourt. There will be no defense. But in my opinion, I think most would agree too that Kyrie's one of the better shooters on our roster. So here's where my opinion comes in, where people might feel differently. I like the idea of having our best passer in D'Lo on the same court with one of our best shooters, Kyrie. And I just thinking about the product that the basketball product that could really show us. The best word I can come up with is dazzle, right? Like, we're going to dazzle opponents with flashy passes, guys being found for open looks or driving to the hoop to draw a foul. Like, they're just going to be worn out. Like, and I think we are too, right? We're running a flow offense. The idea is that people are always moving, they're always cutting to the hoop or popping out to the corner. We're going to be tired, but we have the deepest roster of anybody in the NBA, in my humble opinion. Okay. So if those guys get worn out, guess what? We're going to have fresh legs off the bench, right? Maybe the challenge is I want to see that second, maybe even third unit match the level of playmaking that we saw from our first unit on Monday night. It was awesome. Let's move on. Yeah, D'Lo was a big win. Like, I'm going to talk about D'Lo a lot. Now, the third and final win I'm going to talk about is our guy, Derek Lively. D-Live. He went out there and he did his thing. But pump the brakes. I just want to say the very basic thing, okay? D-Live was healthy and available. That's huge. That in and of itself is a massive dub. But on top of that, like I've watching him develop over these past few years, I have high expectations for the type of impact he is supposed to have when he is on the court, when he is healthy. And guess what? In his time on the floor, he had a plus minus of plus 17. Pretty impactful. We're not talking about anything spectacular. There were no show-stopping blocks, or I guess he did have that reverse two-handed jam that was fed to him by Cooper Flagg. But we're not talking about any earth-shattering plays from Derek Lively, but he looked like Derek Lively again. And what I mean when I say looked like him again, if you'll remember last season, he had that ankle injury. He was gone for a while. And for whatever reason, the Mavs medical staff rushed him back. Okay. And I guess the initial reaction is like, cool, great to see D live. Love to have him back. But he wasn't really back. And he just wasn't feeling it. And you can't blame him. When you're a 7-footer that has bone spurs, side note, foot injuries for a 7-footer can be a little bit of a kiss of death. I'm not going to be a negative Nancy about that, but I am going to be monitoring it. We don't want to see that be a recurring injury. But look, not only was he back and available, he was back. He was making plays. He was surprisingly, I say surprisingly, we knew he had it to his game. He really thrived as a passer in that game. Like, doesn't necessarily show on the stat sheet that he had a ton of assists, but he was just finding good looks across the court, right? That's my biggest takeaway about the Mavs in general, was just the ball was being shared. But D-Live, my man, it's so great to have you back. If you're really back, like 100%, I have high expectations for. I mean, again, I don't think you. We have high regard for what you bring to the offense, right? Like, you're a rim runner, you've got nice touch in the paint, but we're not going to ask you to be our top shooter, top scorer. But you do have the green light from Coach Kidd. Let her rip. I want to see a little bit of that in this, especially in the preseason where there are very low stakes. So, in a nutshell, guys, 3 big wins from Monday's showing. Again, Cooper Flagg is, as advertised, he's worth the hype on both sides of the ball. Very in control of his game. He's trusting the work that he's put in. Second big win, D'Angelo Russell. D'Lo, our guy, comes in and fills the role perfectly and shows how we could even evolve whenever Kyrie comes back and they play alongside each other. Huge win. And then third, like we just talked about, our guy Derek Lively. Let me know in the comment section if you what your prediction is on how many threes he's going to take in this second preseason game against Charlotte Hornets on Saturday night. Which, by the way, in tomorrow's episode, all right, we're going to keep this train rolling. This is intended to be a daily show. I imagine I can find something to talk about every day. But tomorrow, for sure, okay, we're going to dive into things I want to see more of in our second preseason game. Now, whenever the regular season is up and running, we're going to be built on rumors, updates, that kind of thing. I'm not doing the fancy sharing my screen, doing film breakdown. You're just going to listen to me talk. Here's the advice I give you in light of all the good things that we saw on Monday night. It is totally fine to overreact. You should totally talk mess to all your friends. We're winning the championship this year. Your advisor said totally just let her rip out there. Like, be obnoxious if you have to, but be respectful. Okay. Love you, Mavs fan. Be good out there.